Dr. G here with naturalfoodsdiet.org, and today we have another recipe. Today we have a sandwich made from almond butter and honey. Now this is a great snack. You could have this for breakfast, you could have this for lunch, you could have it in the evening, at any time. This is a healthy alternative to a lot of the quick things that you can eat. So let's talk first about the almond butter. Okay, so we take almond butter, we look at the label. Remember, we always read the label. We want to make sure we're not getting MSG or other chemicals, or especially we want to avoid soybean oil, cottonseed oil, or any of the processed vegetable oils. So here we see the ingredients are dry roasted almonds and sea salt. That's it. So that sounds pretty good. Okay, next ingredient, bread. Oh, you may have heard bread is bad. Well, yes, bread is hard to digest. There's gluten, which is a type of protein that humans generally have a hard time digesting. There's also anti-nutrients that are contained in grain. Now, how can a cow or a pig or a horse eat grains and survive if they have these anti-nutrients? Well, the reason is a cow that's designed to eat these things has 4 stomachs. It has a couple of stomachs for fermentation to break down gluten and to break down phytates. Now, phytates are chemicals that are in grains that block the absorption of nutrients. And then there's other anti-nutrients contained in this. So, what is a method of getting rid of these? Well, the traditional sourdough. Sourdough is a type of fermenting the grain paste to remove the anti-nutrients and also to begin to break down the gluten. So with sourdough, traditional sourdough, now don't buy the sourdough that's made from the big companies that use shortcuts. It needs to be traditional, so it needs to be a small bakery that does it by hand, or you can do it yourself. Actually, we'll have a recipe soon for how you can make your own sourdough bread to make it very healthy. And it's easy to do. So we have our sourdough bread made from a local small bakery using traditional methods. That way we can get the nutrition out of the food without the phytates blocking it, and we don't have the glutens which trigger our immune system in evil ways to harm us. And the extreme of that is celiac disease. But a lot of people have reactions to gluten that are way shy of celiac disease. Now, we want to have something tasty in the sandwich, sweet, because, you know, we have this sweet craving. What I like to use is raw honey. Now, I like to use raw honey from local bees. In other words, I go out in the backyard and I catch a bee and I extract, actually I don't do that, but there are beekeepers locally. Now, what's the advantage of local honey? Well, first off, you can get to know the beekeeper and make sure he doesn't heat up the honey. If you heat up the honey to very high temperatures, it makes it easier to pour into jars and to move it around and do what you have to do with it, but it kills the living enzymes and some of the nutrients in honey. So we don't want to do that. Now, the other advantage of having local honey is that your immune system gets exposed to some of the local pollens. And this is actually a way to desensitize yourself from allergies. Of course, the main thing to desensitize yourself from allergies is having a nutrient-dense diet. In other words, if you get all the vitamins, minerals, and other nutritional elements that your body needs, your immune system will function properly and it will fight off what it needs to fight off, like viruses and bacteria, but it won't start fighting things that really don't harm you. And that's what allergies are, when we get hay fever and asthma and other allergic reactions to pollens and animal dander and those kind of things. So we use local honey that hasn't been heated. And now this honey actually tells us which flower that the bees were using. Here it's cat claw, which is a bush that you don't want to mess with in Tucson. This bush, cat claw, you ever seen a cat's claw? Well, this plant has those cat claws, and I have many wounds to attest to how dangerous that plant is. But that's a side topic. Okay, here we go. We take the almond butter, and what we did when we got the almond butter, the fat had separated on the top. We want to stir it when it's at room temperature, stir it really well, and then put it in the refrigerator. And that way the fat that's in the almond is in the whole product. It's not just sitting on the top, because you get it and you go, oh God, what's that oily stuff? Don't pour it off. You want the fat. Okay, the other question is, why do we want almond butter instead of peanut butter? Well, one thing, nuts are a pretty healthy food, although they're sort of high in omega-6 fats, but nuts in general have good vitamins and minerals. Peanuts are not a nut at all. Peanuts are a legume. And guess what? Legumes are filled with anti-nutrients. So I recommend not eating peanuts. Now because they're not soaked, or we didn't ferment them. And I don't know if you do that, but I don't bother doing that. So I avoid peanuts. Now the other reason to avoid peanuts is peanuts often contain aflatoxin. This is a toxin that's made on a fungus that grows commonly on peanuts. And how do you know if your peanuts have been growing fungus or not? You don't know. They grind it up into a butter, in a huge factory. So I would just avoid peanuts. Almond butter tastes better. There's no reason to have peanut butter. Okay, and then next we open up the honey. Now, raw honey will look like that after it's crystallized. When it's very fresh, it'll be more liquidy, but after a while it crystallizes, and that's what it should look like, the raw honey. And so we spread the raw honey on, and then that's it. How easy is that? How much better for you is this than zapping with a microwave a lean cuisine for lunch at work? Just make this. It's way healthier, easier, gives you some good calories instead of empty calories. We don't want low fat. We want full fat, but natural fats and healthy fats. This is Dr. G. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much.